Hi, this is Real Men Unscripted with D&D, Derek and Domingo. We hope you enjoy this podcast.
Well, welcome back to another episode of Real Men Unscripted. I'm Derek.
And I'm Domingo. Welcome back.
And as you can see,
We have
excited.
a guest.
I'm here.
We have another pastor, but
Yep.
actually a friend.
I feel like this is a D sandwich. There's Derek and Domingo, and there's Gene in the middle. Well, you know, this is exciting. And how long you guys been doing this, Real Men Unscripted?
Jerry and I started in December of 2023.
And you must have ran out of people because you're finally getting to me. I'm like the last one.
Actually,
Last one on
you
the
know
show.
I've been asking you
Last
for a
one
little
on the
while.
show. I thought and you're my neighbor. You like live around the corner. We could walk to each other's house. And I'm just now. I didn't even know all this was happening up here.
I've been asking him to ask you.
Oh, wow. Hey, man, thank you so much, guys, for letting me be a part of your program.
Glad to have you here.
This is
about
exciting.
time.
It's exciting.
My mic's not even ready here. Here we go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're in
You
there.
got a loud voice.
Yeah.
I think it picked it up.
Hopefully it picked it up, right?
Real Men,
Yeah, I got all-
Real Men Unscripted.
It's
There you have it.
unscripted,
There you go.
that's
It's unscripted.
Because
Unscripted.
Jerry's not here tonight. So shout out to my wife real quick. It's her birthday today.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday,
And
Tommy.
Gene sang to
Happy
her.
birthday. Yeah. I did my Stevie Wonder, and she made me to continue to sing like the chorus, all those pieces, not just the chorus, but the bridge. And so, hey, happy birthday. Also, it is Pastor Tony's birthday and Pastor Lance's birthday. If you know them, they serve.
Happy
we get to
birthday,
serve
Pastor
alongside
Tony
them.
and Pastor
Lance.
Lance.
Yes.
Yeah,
Happy
yeah.
birthdays.
Yeah.
I think they're a little bit younger than Tammy. But
You know, it's funny, but in my family, we have like 10 birthdays this month. Because I looked at my bank account, I'm like, babe, why
Oh,
are
wow.
we so short? She's like, lots of birthdays.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So May and August is the months for us.
May and August. Good.
Yeah.
May and August. That's good.
Plus then
Awesome.
you got Mother's Day.
Awesome.
So, Gene, why don't you introduce yourself? Obviously, if people go to Hope, then they're gonna know you for sure.
Oh, wow.
But introduce yourself. Tell us if you're married, family, all that.
Well, you guys know I'm pretty shy, so it's kind of hard for me.
Yeah.
To do this, right? It's like I can't even believe I'm here. Oh gosh. No, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Gene Staples. I have the privilege of serving as one of the pastors at Hope Church, and in particular, I get to lead our groups. So my title is Groups Pastor, and so my job is to make sure that people get connected, they find a place to belong, to be known, and to be sent to live the life of a Jesus follower. I'm super excited. My wife and I have been married for 36 years. And that happened last May. We didn't get a present from you. I guess you were buying too many birthday presents for me. we didn't get our anniversary gift.
Hey, I got that new tequila, Gran Malo, if you want it.
Oh, hey, whoa, slow down, Margaritaville. That's the wrong kind of spirit. Jesus made wine, turned water to wine, not to tequila. That's hilarious that you would bring that up. Can't believe that. So Kelly and I, we've been married, like I said, for 36 years. We have 5 children. They're range in age from 35 all the way down to 16. So we're super excited. We have 3 granddaughters, and so God has blessed
that's
us.
awesome.
I'm also a caregiver for my mom, who's 87 years old. We ended up in Las Vegas because God brought us here. As a matter of fact, I'm a church planter. I've been pastoring and been in ministry since the late 90s. I started my preaching ministry in the late 90s, and then from there I became a youth pastor, then an administrative pastor. Then I became the lead pastor at a church in Michigan City, Indiana, which is the halfway mark between South Bend, Indiana, where I was born and raised, and Chicago. And so at that church, we were the first African-American family there. We saw rapid growth, and then my father's health got bad in 2008. He passed away in June, and then that end of that year, we planted a church in South Bend, and we started in a movie theater because by trade, I'm a television producer. Oh, wow. So that's what I did as tent making, so production. So I applaud what you guys are doing here. This is high-end production. I love it.
Jerry, shout out to Jerry.
Yeah, awesome job, Jerry.
Yes.
Jerry. Now, Jerry, is he still making those fruit trays that look like
Oh,
flowers?
you're
That's
talking
wrong,
about Jerry Perez.
Okay.
He's the chef.
So this is
Jerry
is Jerry
Roberts.
Jerry. Shout out to Jerry Roberts because we just did a worship service at the Orleans, and Jerry was our worship leader. My son played behind him,
Okay.
Sam,
Oh,
and
wow.
it was amazing. He did an amazing job, and so grateful for him, and
Yeah.
grateful for the technology and what you're doing. So
Yeah,
so
he wanted to do behind the scenes instead of being up here, and it's been great because I don't know how to do any of the editing or nothing. So
looks like you're doing pretty good. Like you're doing-
we'll
you
see
guys
if
are
we
doing
mess
great.
this up. I mean, I'm in charge of turning it all off after, so we'll see.
You turn it on. Well, it's
He's
going to be
helping,
great.
He's actually helping out the other guys too with their
Yeah.
YouTube channel now.
So he's starting a production company. Is that
Yeah,
what you're
so
telling
it
me?
sounds
It's
like-
Maybe
It's
he
a-
needs a
He needs,
J-O-B
he needs
is what
employees.
needs.
The
He needs
JOB.
employees.
He needs employees. Well,
Part-time.
is he paying? Yeah, because I'll send my boys to work with him. That'd be good. So we planted a church in 2008, and then out of that, my dad's health got bad, and so I moved back to South Bend. And from there, we were pastoring a church. I merged this church plant that we had with a church that was in DeWaljack, Michigan, and it was a traditional church, 186 years old. And then we had
wow.
this new church plant that was 2-3 years old. We merged them, and it was kind of like we left the movie theater and went to a traditional building, and it became kind of like oil and water mixing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they were set in their ways, and so the contemporary stuff they said they wanted the video and all the interactive stuff, the newer contemporary songs, but traditionally that they weren't ready for it. So that church grew.
So it was like non-denominational.
It was a Baptist church, and we're in Southern Baptist Convention and found out the work that we were doing in South Bend, Indiana. They had come alongside of us. So I tried to merge Southern Baptist and National Baptist together.
Okay.
And so it just the worship styles and the progressiveness, it just didn't fit with the model of what they were used to. Now, it did work later for them because after we set things in motion, I feel like I was appalled in a certain sense because I planted these ideas and our ministry allowed them to grow and do some things. And then another guy named, I'm not going to say his name, but he was basically Apollos, and he came along and watered. And then God caused the increase because he allowed them to bring technology in, and they got kind of used to dressing down and all the other things that go along with tradition, and so to ministering to people. So then out of that, I had the urge to plant, or the calling to plant. I was going to plant in South Bend, but one of my high school teachers, she said, hey, you need to come to Vegas and visit Vegas. So we came out to Vegas. I came out to Vegas November 2014 for right before Thanksgiving, just for a getaway. They put me up on Fremont Street. I stayed on Fremont Street. Loved it.
Did you really?
No. Here's the deal. Most people don't think this. So as a pastor, I was looking at all the people coming from all over the place and looking at the lostness and the behaviors of people. And the thing that I thought was, I said, man, this is a lot like Corinth, right? Because people are coming from all over the place. What if there was ministry? Because we had started in a movie theater. I said the slogan we said was church in a movie theater. Come and try it. So why not do church in a casino? Right, and so with that, we were able to start talking to the casino owners and the people that were involved in managing the building. I said, could we have a service, or start doing a service in one of your theaters where you have all these shows? The space is already set up to relate to people. I said it could also be something that would be beneficial for your staff because they could come after they get off work. We'd cover up all the liquor, but we'll use the room and the equipment. We'd even clean the room if you allow us, so we don't have to pay any rent. So it became something that those people who worked there, they could come in whether they were saved or not saved, or whether they were seeking. It was a chance for mental health because worship does that. It helps us. Yes. And then getting a positive word of encouragement, ways they could apply it to their life. And so those were things that I saw. And so I went back home that November, and I was sitting with my family. I never forget, it was January 3rd of 2015. And I told the kids were home from college, and all the kids were in the house. And so, which, by the way, we have 4 boys and 1 daughter, Jean, Sydney, Gabrielle, our only daughter, and then Sam and Adam. And so we were sitting around, and I said, hey, we're going to Vegas. And they were like, oh, yeah, we're going to Vegas. Vegas, we're going to Vegas. And they thought I meant just for the vacation, right? It's said, oh, we're going to Vegas. And so I sat there, and it was actually Adam's birthday, and I bought a one-way ticket to come to Vegas February 2nd. So I came out to Vegas February 2nd. I was looking and surveying the land, thinking, okay, now I'm going to meet with these casino owners and just kind of see what that is. And then it just happened to be one morning, I was looking for some place to worship. I typed in something, and it took me to Hope Church, way out of the direction that I wanted to go.
Yeah.
I show up at Hope Church. I'm there, and then at the time, Pastor Vance was still pastor, our founding pastor, and they were still worshiping in the next gen, which is our smaller building compared to our new worship center. And so after service, he called me up to the stage and said, "Hey, brother," he said, "who are you?" I said, "My name's Gene Staples. I'm a church planter from Indiana." He said, "We love church planters." And so we connected and talked. And then so the next thing you know, he asked if I could meet. And I started meeting some other people in the city. So I didn't go back for about 10 days, and it turned into 15 days. It turned into 3 months, and then 6 months.
Wait, and your family's still in Indiana?
My family's still in Indiana. I'm flying back and forth to preach and teach and teach in different places in the country.
Oh, wow.
And then my wife was like, "What are we going to do?" I said, "We're moving." I said, "So we'll move at the end of the school year when the kids finish school in May or June." And so we planned that, but then I got the family out here in August of 2015. I had been here by the time they got here. All they had to do, we left our furniture, gave that stuff away, and just got new things because, of course, the things are different in
Yeah.
Vegas, so to fit the house. And so when they came, all they had to do was bring luggage and toys.
And shoes.
Toys.
And shoes. Yeah, and so that's how we got to Vegas. I came here as a church planter, started doing some other work around town and working, doing some stuff with UNLV, doing some diversity training for the university, and then Clark County School District. They were at one of the functions I was doing. They asked me if I'd come and do some stuff for them. Became part of their staff.
Now,
and
this is all by yourself. This is not associated with Hope yet.
it wasn't associated with Hope yet.
It's just you.
Just me. And
That's
so they had
awesome.
something then that was called M2. And M2 was an intensive church planners. They then changed it to M3. So I attended that, and then I assembled a team that wanted to move with us from Indiana. And so while everybody's back in Indiana, I'm out in Vegas. I rented a house, and this is a crazy story because all the time I got here and I started preaching and teaching, and I resigned from my position as senior pastor at the church back in Indiana, Michigan area. And so with that, I was starving, literally, and I wouldn't tell my family because I was paying for rent here, had no furniture, just an air blow-up mattress. And so when they would call me and we would FaceTime, and back then we were using Skype because I don't think we had iPhones, and it's in 2015. So I'm texting with them and making it look like everything is great, but I was really starving. Like, really, I was like, it was before I started with the school court, before I started doing any of those other things, because I was trying to pay for 2 places to live, pay for
same
cars,
time.
and still trying to get around. Dressed like $1 million, but broke. I mean, had bought another Mercedes, was driving a Mercedes, but not knowing if I had gas to get and do the things that I wanted to do to get to know people, to build relationships. I would literally go to the gas station, the Terribles. I would buy 2 hot dogs for $1.99. I would cut them up into little pieces and get a bunch of those packs of noodles, and that would be my meal for multiple days, right? And I mean, it
You're
was,
not talking about a cup of noodles, are you?
yeah, I'm talking about. Well, it wouldn't be a
Or
cup. I'd get you
the
got
top-
more in the packages.
Top,
Yeah, top ramen.
The ramen.
This is
Top
not a
ramen.
promo for those noodles. I'm pretty sure that wasn't the healthiest thing with processed hot dogs and these noodles that really they ran my sugar up. They were starchy. Starch turns into sugar. So anyway, so I was doing that, and then it got to the place where I started. Someone else heard me teach and preach, and they asked me if I would come and preach. And I went, and then during that time I was sharing with them, the pastor asked me if I would come back, and so I stayed and hung out with him. And then the people started asking me to come and speak right around Vegas, and so in it, the guy said, "Why don't you come to church more often? You preach a lot more. They want to hear you." And I was like, "Have you ever thought maybe I don't have gas to come over here? Have you thought about that?" They said, "But how can you look like that and not have gas?" I was like, I'm eating hot dogs from the gas station. And he's like, "Why don't you tell anybody that?"
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, but that was pride, right? It was part of thinking, okay, I can do this. God, you called me to this, but I'm suffering, looking the part. And I wonder how many Christians do that, right? We show up at church, we show up at functions, we wear the facade, but we don't let anybody in. Mm-hmm. That's another reason why I'm so excited about being able to serve as a groups pastor. I mean, because now we get a chance to be in a space where we have real relationships. We invite people into our lives to become family. Like I said, like being on Fremont Street, looking and seeing people come from all over the world and them not being community, and then knowing that Las Vegas is so transient,
Yeah.
right? So we get a chance to invite people in to be a part of what God has called us to do and really live out the Bible. So we're called to spend time with God. That's our abiding with Christ. I believe that's our vertical. And then we're called into relationships horizontally. That creates like a cross, right?
That boy is good.
And so, but we don't often have that because we're not vulnerable enough to tell somebody who we really are or where we really are or what we really need because of pride and those things. And so, and the Bible's
Or
very
shame.
clear. Or shame, yeah. That's part, I think they go hand in hand,
Yeah.
right? And the Bible's very clear that pride goes before the fall. So before falling apart and losing everything. So after I shared that with him, he said, why don't you tell us we have a food pantry? And started having to do things like that. But then getting connected in a way where I was real and honest and true. So working, and then so I started doing other things in ministry and doing other things for people. And then during that period, like I said, by the fall, I had my family out here, and it was just, it was great. I mean, because in the school, Corp had asked me in, and then also UNLV, so I was doing all this training, teaching, and preaching. Now, there were some moments before my family got here, I'll go back to this, where I didn't know how I was even going to pay my phone bill. We're at the point for it to be cut off, and somebody invite me to speak, and then it would be just enough money to pay the bill, get some gas, and buy 4 more hot dogs, right? So I would have that, right?
So you were getting paid for these,
I was getting
for a few of them. Maybe.
Yeah, what they do is they give you what's called love offerings, right?
Okay.
But I wasn't going around, hey, pay me to preach or teach. I build other leaders because that's what I'm called to. In fact, I say it all the time. It was on my business card. I'm called to lead leaders who lead leaders, right? And I do that by accepting people where they are and challenging them to get to where God is calling them to be.
Gotcha.
That's why the position I have at Hope Church, it makes a big difference for me because we exist to connect people to live the life of a Jesus follower, right? So how do we do that? We do that by abiding in Christ, connecting in community, and sharing in the mission. And so the best way I can do that is I really learned how to connect in community and trust. And it wasn't until I became part of the staff in October of 2020, in the middle of a pandemic, this church invites me to be a part of the staff, the pastoral staff, which was really unbelievable to me. It was just, first of all, how can you hire somebody in the middle of a pandemic when the whole thing was they were supposed to be my sending church? And so in September of 2020, they gave me an opportunity, or August of 2020, and moved into September, but they gave me an opportunity to do what's called assessment. So Kelly and I, my wife, we went through assessment, and with assessment, they evaluate you in all these ways to see if you're ready to go and plant a church, right? So we went through that, but at the same time, and I know this is one of your questions, at the same time, we're in the pandemic, you can't touch people, you can't get around people. I saw a need for chaplaincy, and I wanted to serve as a chaplain. One day I found out that Patrick Detkin, who's our lead pastor of community, he was a chaplain. I say, man, I want to meet with you. I'd like to talk to you and see if you can introduce me to somebody so I can get into chaplaincy. Showed up, start talking, and then Patrick said, man, this must be a God thing. He said, God's doing something, and he said, Hope will be making a mistake if they don't create a space for you. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm a church planner. I'm not, what are you doing? They don't need me there. What are you talking about? The church is functioning. It's just the middle of a pandemic. Who hires people? And so he's like, no, they've been making a mistake. And so in that, I went ahead and went through assessment. My wife and I go through it. And then at the time, it was something I thought we were supposed to do, but I didn't know how to do it in the middle of a pandemic. And so Patrick, one day we were talking, he got up and said, hey man, they're making a mistake if they don't do something for you. I was supposed to start this residency as a church planner. And then he went and talked to, at the time was Pastor Travis Ogle, and he said, he's gonna call you. So he calls and I meet with him, and I'm just telling him my story, telling him how I've served other churches and how I've developed leaders. And he's like, man, I'd love to see some of the stuff you've done. Invited me to send stuff to him. I sent that, and then he knew that there was some hurt behind serving others in a real sense, because there was a point where I was doing things like helping lead churches, helping them develop, helping them organize, helping them to put the business stuff together, helping them do evangelism. And then one particular day, my daughter started school at Reno at UNR, and I had helped the church put together their business meeting. When they put together stuff for their business meeting, the people would ask the leaders, the trustees, questions that I put together with them in their business plan, and they would say they wouldn't know the answer, and I would say, I think what your trustee's trying to say. I think what, and then so people, instead of asking the questions to the front of the room, they start leaning over their seat. So what does it mean on page 18? I was like, I think, and then so my daughter called me after that meeting and said, Dad, how was the business meeting? I said, it was great for them. It was terrible for me. And she said, what does that mean? I said, I'll call you back and tell you. So later, I didn't call her, so she called me back. And she said, what's going on? I said, I've become a terrible ghostwriter. A terrible ghostwriter, because I've been writing sermons and writing lessons for people, developing evangelistic models for them to follow and those things. And I was watching them grow, and then as they grow, they couldn't manage. They couldn't manage because we weren't developing leaders.
they weren't
and
managing the
and they were
growth.
still, and some of the stuff they were still doing some things that were traditional that just didn't fit with the culture, right? Emerging culture that ministered to people who weren't churchy, people who didn't grow up in church and in relationship. And so I felt like I was doing a disservice because I'd watch people get excited and then we weren't retaining people. As soon as they come in the front door, they're basically going out the back door. When I shared that with her, I said, I've become this terrible ghostwriter. And it was then that day that I was like, okay, I need to do what God brought me to Vegas for.
Yeah.
And that was the plan. And so I started looking for this document from Hope Church. And this predates Patrick asking me or saying that this church needed to create a position or they need to have me a part of the staff. And so with that, I started seeking that. And then, as I said, we went back to the idea of church planning. Then we fast forward again to the fall of 2020. Patrick said, you need this. Travis calls. And then I'm supposed to start this residency. And the next thing I know, they're offering a position for me to start on staff as one of the pastors at Hope Church. And that's how I started. That's
And how's
how the
that for
residency
5
started.
years of coming here?
Yeah, that's
You moved in 2015.
Yeah, moved in 2015. This happened in 2020. Was not the expected thing. Become a part of this team. Started off part-time, and then January of 2021, they brought me in full-time. I started doing what's Discovering Hope. For some people that at your churches, that's probably what you call assimilation, helping people become part of the fabric of the church, to know the history of the church, know the direction of the church.
Membership
Yeah.
class, sometimes people call
Yeah,
it.
they call them all those things, right? So we're serving that way, and then the DNA of Hope Churches has been in my system. I mean, I believe in what God is doing because it's all biblical. We're all called into relationships. And I think that's what we miss most of the time, is that people come to church, they show up for a worship service, they come to the gather time, but they never get connected, right? And then traditional churches do things that their small groups are not called small groups. They call them like Bible study, or they call them Sunday school. They all happen on campus. They don't build the relationships for people to go into their homes and communities. And so that makes a difference. And I had been in relationships with other pastors and those things, those kinds of relationships, but I always felt like we really didn't gel. It was always competitive, right? And so there was no place to exhale. And so small groups changed that, because also then in October or August of 2021, I ended up getting COVID, and it was my small group that rallied around us, that brought us stuff, that connected with us. There were church groups that helped us through that time. And so I just appreciate it. And so my wife and I, it's no longer just the Staples family here. We have family, right? So those are connections.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that makes sense. I know I told you more than
No, that's
your
awesome.
answer,
Yeah.
so-
Yeah, that was awesome.
And it's your daughter that has it's your son that has the 3 girls or 2 girls?
So our oldest son, he and his wife, they have 2. We just had a new baby that was born on our anniversary, which is May 14th. So he has 2 girls, and then our second oldest, he has 1 daughter.
Oh, okay.
And so he's in Texas. He and his family in Texas. Yeah. So
Where's the oldest? Is he still
the
in
oldest
Vegas?
is in Los. No. We're the only ones in Vegas.
Oh, so
And
everybody left.
What is that?
It is hot out here.
I don't
Except for
understand.
Sam and Adam.
Yeah, except for Sam and Adam. Our daughter, she went to school at UNR, so she stayed there. She's right in the middle. So they're the 2 big boys, and then the 2 little boys. So it looks like we have a blended family, but we don't. Like, because of
Yeah.
the age difference, that you have somebody who's 35 and you have a baby who's 16. And so then our daughter in the middle, she's 24. I know her age.
Well, the
because
16-year-old should still be here then.
Yeah, 16-year-old,
you said they're all gone.
16 and 18. Well, they're all. I should say this: they're all grown in a certain sense, because these 2 little guys look like adults.
Yes.
Sam is
Yeah.
almost as tall
Yes.
as you,
No, Sam is taller.
Yeah,
than
he's
me.
taller than him.
And Adam is on the way. Yeah. Well, you've been watching my kid or something?
right? With
Yeah.
Adam's hair,
Wow, all the
with
time.
Adam's hair now, because he
They all-
swapped with Sam.
They all
Sam cut his, and then Adam grew his.
No, Adam cut his hair too. You haven't
just
seen
recently?
him? Yes, man. These guys, they look. And as a matter of fact, sometimes in the house, if they're sitting down, I don't know who's who. right? They both put on their glasses, and it's like, okay. And then their voices, I'm thinking that there are other people in the house. Their voices are deep, and then they eat. They're good eaters. They're really good eaters. So yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot about that.
Yeah. You talking about you or your kids?
My kids, I got 3 of them. They're still at home.
I got you. They're still,
Well, you know Kevin.
I do. I know Kevin well, and Kevin's journey. I mean, I got a chance to hug on Kevin last Friday. We were at a wedding together. He had on
that's right.
he had
We
on
went
a
to the
new
wedding,
light blue shirt. It was like he looked so fit. I mean, he's like, wow. He's like, yeah, that dude, yeah. I love that kid.
With
man.
the barrel chest, they say.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, great. I love your son, and I've had a chance to spend time with him and do life with him. He was, matter of fact, Kevin used to be part of our small group, our
Yes,
men's
he
small
was.
group.
I
And
was gonna say that.
Yeah, so we meet on Friday mornings at 6:15. Or I'm sorry, that's 6 a.m. I have another group I meet at 6:15. And it's funny, small groups are become so much family, and part of the fabric of my life is that Friday and Saturdays are days off. It's the only day that I could sleep in, but I get up every Friday morning, sometimes by 5, sometimes 4:30, depends on what side of town we're on, so I can be there on time.
Yeah.
And so so that I got a chance to
Sleeping
do life
in's
every day.
overrated.
Is it? Yeah. How would you know? Do you sleep in?
No,
I do.
I get up at 5 every morning.
You get up at 5 and jump.
Well, I actually get up at 4:50.
I get up at 12, 1 p.m.
You're retired.
Even on my day job.
You're the only guy here that's retired, and I'm probably the oldest guy in this seat. Like I'm the oldest one here, and you're, yeah. Wait a minute.
Wait, Jerry's retired too, but he's not here.
Also, I'm worried too because that's good. You guys, I'm surprised
worry,
you're
I'm
doing
not
anything.
packing right now.
You know, I'm between 2 officers. This might be a setup. This might be a setup.
I'm retired. I don't claim it no more.
You don't claim it anymore.
No.
That's good.
He was at the courthouse yesterday
Yeah,
testifying.
and today.
And really, wow. Can you tell us about? No. Okay. No.
Well, it's still going, so I can't say nothing.
Yeah, actually, you were probably
Both
told
of
you
them.
couldn't. Yeah, you were probably told that you can't talk about it
Yeah,
until
exactly.
till the jury gets it, because the juror might just happen to see this. so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be one of the 100 followers we got.
So when you were at UNLV, did you ever do anything out at like Nevada State or anything?
No, UNLV, when they heard me speak someplace, and they asked me if I would come and do some diversity training. And so what happened is I ended up being basically a liaison between parents and teachers and parents and the university. And then they started having me do things with the staff. So to go in to help identify places where people have bias, right? They help them kind of do a look at themselves and to realize that we all have some form of bias.
Did you ever do anything with the police department? Because I'm trying to remember if
You said
because
you
I
were
worked
chaplain.
there at the.
No,
Did you do
no,
it, though?
no, I never got to, because instead of Patrick introducing me to chaplaincy,
He got you a job.
yeah, he put me on his
He
team.
opened the door, yeah.
He opened the door, so the Holy Spirit used him, and what's happened out of that is I think we become a great team. I think
Oh, yeah, you guys are great.
it's a blast working with them, and then like our families are so close. Even listen, we become so close that like what happens, like so our youngest 2 years ago, he decided he wanted to play volleyball. And you know the families that he's connected to
Yes.
as a result of that. So he plays volleyball at Liberty, and his first game, Patrick was there, his wife was there, our whole team was there. We become family like that. And so he and I do a number of things together. I mean, we even go to a movie together. Not on company time. Let me just make sure I say that. It's usually on a
Scott.
Friday. It's usually on a Friday when we're
After work.
it's a Friday when we're not at work, right?
Because didn't you guys go to Pastor Patrick's son's ball game too?
No,
Yeah,
I-
like
that
his
was
whole
his.
team?
That was his group in.
I thought it was the Bible
LA,
study.
I think.
oh yeah, that was his daughter. She played flag football, and their team.
Oh, I thought it was the baseball.
Yeah, it was his son.
Oh, that's
but
his
it was
story,
when he
yeah.
was
It was
in
when he was
Little
a kid.
League.
I didn't know
think.
him then.
Oh, was it a little? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. You're
'Cause I know
bringing.
he said that everybody showed up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what the family's all about.
Yeah, it is. I mean, so and that's how we show up in each other's lives, and so I think with that, I think I think that shows when your relationship, and it's just a joy doing what we do. I mean, like knowing you guys. I mean, and just being able to be here with you today on the Real Men Unscripted is just a great opportunity. And then even to know you before you birth this, and then how your relationships have connected, and so. And I don't know if it's true or not, but it would be my guess that you guys met through ministry. You met at Hope Church, right?
We met at Patrick's house
Yeah.
actually.
At one
for
of
the
our-
veteran,
one of our
the
Bible studies.
First responders.
Right, first responders small group, right?
And I met
group,
Patrick through the chaplaincy.
Yeah.
He came to my department when I was working southeast for Metro.
Yeah.
He came there and then he left and he went to Henderson.
Yeah.
So-
And I think one thing, the culture, especially the culture of our team, it allows people to flourish, to be who they're called to be. We don't have to fit into a box. Of course, we have assignments that we do, but on top of that, we get a chance to really live out the ministry that God has given us. We find our gifts, and we get to gel together and vibe together and do the things that are going to best serve the people. And I think that's part of relationships. Like, we're different, yet we are yet different, yet the same. We serve the same God, and so whatever got me here to Vegas, it was my idea that I wanted to come here to plant, but it was God. I believe God used that to get me to Hope Church. I believe had it not been for God using the idea of church planting to get me here to become part of Hope Church, I wouldn't know either one of you, right? And so God's divine plan, His plan and His purpose for our lives, before we were created in our mother's womb, He had a plan and a purpose, right? And we think that we're pulling the strings and orchestrating when all the time He set a path before us. Right, and we get a chance to live into that. And, I believe Scripture where it says, eye hasn't seen, ear hasn't heard, neither is into the heart of man that which God has prepared for those who love Him. And when we love Him and we serve Him and lean into His plan for us, even when we can't see Him, even when we can't trace Him, we can still trust Him, and we keep moving forward. And so I applaud the work you guys are doing, the fact that even though this is unscripted, you're taking time to share the gospel in a different way. Right, at least that's just my thought about it. And so even if it took, how many is 8 months? It took almost 8-9 months for you to invite me to be a part of the show.
I believe I invited you before.
Yeah.
You're a busy man. You're a very busy
Did he call me dizzy or busy? He said,
busy.
Dizzy man. Busy
B-U-S-Y.
You're so busy you left Sam at church the other day.
Oh, what? Child
This is terrible.
neglect?
This is terrible. I didn't know. Okay, here's the deal. Okay,
Well, it's story time, so this is a story.
Domingo.
story time?
Yeah, it's story time.
Domingo. This is just one of two stories. So Derek knows I trust him dearly. We started doing some stuff. We met each other through Discovering Hope. He and his wife, and they became a part of my life. Found out they lived close. They started doing some things with my kids, and so even when Sam started to drive, he was ready to drive. And I needed something, I would call Derek to take my son places. And so now my son drives and he's doing all these things, and even Derek's allowed me to take him to the airport a few times. But last week, or was it last week? It was Monday.
It was, yeah. No, it was last week at the meeting.
It's like I don't know what night it was. Either way it goes, I'm there and I'd been there all day, and I didn't know that my son was done. I thought he was going to be done at 8:30, but I was trying to get home so I could eat. And then as soon as I left and got home, I had a text message that said, Sam left church because we used 360. And I said, how'd you get home? And he said, Derek dropped me off. I said, Derek who? Why weren't you home? Where were you? He said, I was at church. And then this guy, I find out that he brought my son home, and I didn't forget him. I just didn't know he was there. But thank God for, and that's how I got invited to the show. That's how I got it, because listen, I had to leave my son at church. I had to forget my son just so I could become part of this podcast.
So you're
Thank
admitting you forgot your son.
I think
he was like in a rush to leave, right? So I see him leave, and then 2 minutes later, I see his son run past me, and I said, "Are you looking for your dad?" And he said, "Yeah," but he kept running, so I couldn't tell him your dad's gone. So I waited for him to come back down, and I said, "Hey, your dad already left." He's like, "Oh," I said, "But I'm going home, and you live right by me, so you want to ride?" And then he goes, "Okay." So we get in the car, and then I said, "Hey, your dad told me you got your license now. You want to drive?" And he was like, "No." He didn't want to drive, but I was going to let him drive.
Did you get a new vehicle?
No, just a Toyota, the Highlander.
Got a new
drive
engine in it.
Oh wow! Well, the thing is, this is what I'm talking about, relationships, because of where we serve at, because my son knows you. Not just because you're a cop, but the fact that my son knows
I've never
you.
dealt with him on my job, so
It's like that is why he knows that it's okay to go with you. We teach our children not to get in car with strangers, but he knows you and I have a relationship.
Stranger danger.
Yeah, so
I've even hired them one Christmas to help put my lights up. And
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
Why?
so-
Because you can't reach up there.
Well, because my son wasn't home, man. He usually does that stuff.
He
Yeah.
can put
And
the-
these kids are tall, man.
Yeah,
It's
he can
like,
put the
hey,
star on top of the
yeah,
tree.
yeah.
He didn't need the ladder at all. It's like, and now he's even taller. So we'll see if he hires him now.
Wow.
If he connects him. Like, so no.
Hey, I might need him too.
Yeah, well, you definitely. Yeah, are you
Yeah, I
taller
definitely.
than this?
Yeah, I'm shorter than you.
Yeah, you are. Okay, well, I'll
Both
leave that
ways,
alone.
sideways and tall.
Oh, wow.
All right, so it is story time.
Story time.
And I know you said,
I don't have a
so
story.
I know
That
it's
was my
unscripted,
story.
but I did tell him, we do a list in case there's some questions we want to ask. I did tell him that we do story time at the end, and he's not sure. You're not sure.
I
if
have
you
no
have
story.
That was a good story, the one we just
That
did.
wasn't the story?
Yeah, well, we could go with it. We could
Yeah.
go with it.
But you got to come up with another one for next
Well, yeah,
week.
we got to
For
do
next
2
week?
episodes,
Okay, I'll,
you know.
I'll come up for next week. A story. Did I ever tell you about this time? No, okay. That's hilarious.
I mean, yeah. So, all right. Well, I think we handled 3 questions so far. So we're gonna go.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome.
Unless there's a story about why you and Kelly dress the same.
Oh, yeah. That,
People don't know you.
Yeah, that's
Or do we want to do that on the next episode?
it's up to you. It's all good.
Is it a story or is it something?
It's something that happened by accident, which now, so here's the story. For those of you who don't know, so my wife and I, we dress alike every day, pretty much almost every day. Now, I don't wear skirts, so she dresses more like me. That's really, that's the thing.
I would love to see the other way around. Just
that
one
would be
time.
that would be a kilt,
So
but we
you're
can't.
not Irish then.
No, I'm not. There'd be no kilt. I'm not Irish. I'm not Scottish. None of that. No. In case
Viking.
you can't tell. No, I'm not. I don't wear any of those stuff. So we used to dress with the same color scheme. Like the whole family would do that. Like some people only do it when they take a picture. Like even some pictures on the wall of people dressed in the same colors. And so what happened is there was a shirt I ordered one time. First of all, there were some tennis shoes. I like Converse, and so one day I saw another pair. And it was her size, so I got the Converse. And we were serving. This was during the pandemic. We were serving at one of the doors. They were limiting seating, so she wore the same shoes because I had gotten her a pair. And people noticed them, and she's like, "Ooh, I think I like this. I think I like the Converse, and they're comfortable." And I said, "Okay, so if I see some more, I'll see some of your size. I'll get your size." So I started buying her the shoes that I would get. So whenever I bought a pair of shoes, I couldn't get them unless they had her size as well. So she catches up. By the way, I have probably about 342 pair. Kelly is far behind. She might have 180 pair.
That's
but
a long ways
I
from-
started way before her.
That was a long ways from hot dogs.
Yeah,
I was gonna
She's
say,
not joking.
you could sell those and he could eat as many hot dogs as he wants.
No more
for
top
life.
Well, I don't pay that much. Matter of fact, I really don't because
He steals them.
no, not. I'm between two police officers. Let me get back to my story. Matter of fact, they blessed me with the shoes. Now I don't really have to pay that much for them. Really,
nice.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, so I started doing that, but then I had a shirt one day I was going to wear, and then with the shirt, I ordered it and I got it too small. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if it wasn't Temu because they didn't have Temu then. So it was really, those of you know what that is. It takes weeks and then the sizes come. You order something. You think like these right here probably came from Temu. These helmets, they thought these were full size helmets, and that's the size that they get for the price. And so I ordered this shirt and it didn't fit, so I ordered another one instead of sending it back. And so we were leaving to go someplace, and she said, "Did you send that other shirt back?" I said, "It's all packaged up." She's like, "I think I'll try it on." So she tried the shirt on, had the same shoes and the same top, and then she made hers kind of girly, look great. And so that's how it started. And then so every time I go someplace, she'd say, "Did you get me one? Did you get me one? Did you get me one?" So I had to buy.
Well, it is pretty
buy
cute
two.
how
That
you guys
is
always
awesome.
match.
Yeah. So it's easy. Like now, like for example, if we go someplace, there's a big crowd and we get lost, I'll say, "Do you see anybody who look like me?" And they're like, "That didn't work." So I said, "Do you see anybody dressed like me?" They say, "Oh yeah." So it makes it easy.
Wait,
so
you're like
so we do
6
it.
foot something. You can't just see over the top of everybody.
Listen, I am no longer the tallest guy. We live in Las Vegas. And if you think the view is blocked at your angle, my angle is too, because it's like there's so many tall people in Las
That
Vegas.
must be in your area.
Yeah, well.
Because on the east side,
We go
they all short.
on the east side. Man, the east side. Wow. They all short?
They all short.
I'm coming over there so I'll be a giant.
All right, well, that's the episode.
Yeah, that's
we're gonna
it
do
for
a
this
two-parter. So, the next week we'll have part 2. So, again, like, subscribe, share,
And watch.
yeah,
And watch. Yeah. And share it with your friends.
yeah.
Yes.
And hopefully, Pastor Gene will now share it with
Subscribe.
people.
Wait, you haven't subscribed yet?
Because
I
another
did.
guy
That's why you
subscribed
weren't
to me,
invited.
so-
I'm not. That wasn't me. Maybe it was my alias.
So thanks again, and until next episode, peace out.
All right, thanks.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Pete.
watching.
See you next
Thanks for
week.
watching.